So Bobbi Lindemulder again, thanks for coming. With Snohomish Conservation District. Hope you guys have had a good wade so far. Dodged the trees and the wind and the branches and ran for cover. Today's session is going to be purely ours as planners. We don't have any set presentation. A lot of requests are just roundtables, and there was so many different requests. I just split the main ones into 3 sessions. And this morning being district rental programs. And so what I really want to focus on, and for Mark and Annie, you guys online, Karina's monitoring the chat, but feel free to unmic too if you want to pipe. And so we have a lot of districts, especially now with the sustainable farms and fields, looking at no-till drills and opportunities for no-till drills. We've got districts with manure rental, manure spreader rental programs, existing no-till programs, lime spreaders, all other kinds of gear. So really my intent in these next sessions, especially for this with rental programs, is started out with, like, I'd love to hear from those districts with programs and how you do it. We at Snohomish have had a rental program, and I've not, it was through, we had it through a grant, but the grant ended. I've opted not to continue to pursue it, which really there was some massaging with cooperators and landowners that were very angry. Once you start a program, if you decide to stop a program, there's some really important things to keep in mind doing that as well. And for us, it was a cost of one, having a planner in the field, dragging the thing around, managing a calendar and that kind of stuff, liability concerns from our board and those kind of things. And then just, cost of, I felt, for the same people that kept using the same equipment all the time without expanding upon new people, bringing them in. We were better served in the field with the cooperators, with a multitude of cooperators for the cost to us. So I would love to start out with just like who has a district program and what equipment is on there. And then I want to open it up for, like, here's how we do it. Here's the problems, the trials and tribulations. Here's how we solve issues, maintenance issues, staffing issues. Is it trailer? Do you have how do you manage the calendar? And just really have a great conversation about that, because it runs the gamut. I know, and we'll all pick up some really key, helpful bits. So with that, I just want to kind of open it up to whoever wants to start and chat equipment. I'm sorry, of course we can. Yes, that's great. That is great. So again, Bobbi Lindemulder, Snohomish. I'm the program director for our agriculture team. Started out as an intern, bringing coffee and cleaning, like literally defrosting the district freezer. And I've been at the district 26 years.
I'm the conservation program manager for Washington Conservation District. I've been there for over 12 years and started to go back. And Bobbi with the Conservation District. I've been there like almost 4 years now, and I am the outreach education coordinator and a planner.
Yeah, 11 CD. I've been there about 11 years. A lot. 5 minutes per area.
And again, mentally roles that have been multi-shipping newsletter and shed the library. And I'm a farm and doing. I'm Miranda Smith. I'm with King TV as a community agriculture coordinator. I've been there almost a year.
Jay Bureau, King Conservation District, farm planner. I'll be my 23rd anniversary. like 650 at the farm. There's good value. Yeah, for CP, and Robert.
He's good, but there's CD and. And run director at actively recruiting. Like me, place to work. And yeah, I started out as an intern. Right, went to King City for a year and a half. Good gig. Very young. There.
My name is Lindemulder.
There is no traffic, based on state conservation districts. And I was searching for that manager.
We're specialists for livestock water quality. We have a few dairies, a lot of beef cattle, and morphed into managers. So I didn't hear any managers here. So if they ever offer you that, then do it. Stay in the fields, stay making plans. Do everything kind of in our region from forestry to ag livestock, and kind of looking forward to this presentation. We have a long history with equipment. Currently, we don't. Because of that long history, all conservation districts in the 40s, 50s, and 60s all own massive amounts of equipment. The things happened, so we got into the lawsuit for competing with private industry. And so now we're thinking about getting back into the equipment business, but don't know what. Yeah, I want a no-till drill, but I only have a 30 horsepower tractor. I have a 100 horsepower tractor, so we need 5 no-till drills.
Sam Grundle, Rick CD. I do a lot of work on planning. I've been there about 3 years. Jen Bond with Fallon Conservation District, and I started in 2001. Been around for a while. I resisted the district manager thing that happened a few years ago. I stayed as a planner. But we're a very small district. We do a lot of everything. My work is mostly, of course, in livestock operations. We have not had an equipment rental program, but we've had a lot of pressure and interest from operators to have a rental program. And I've been kicking around the idea for the last few years, kind of hesitantly. And my board's not super wild about owning equipment, but we do have a good working relationship with a newer-ish business in town that wants to partner with us. So I'm hoping I can make that work. Awesome. Mark, you want to introduce yourself?
Mark Crowley, Kittitas County Conservation District. See, I'm on my 20th, in a couple of days, I'll start my 21st year. We don't have any rental stuff here now, and our board has been very resistant to doing it, but the staff we want to do something. So we've had a lot of pressure for no-till drill, like many of you have. So that's what we're looking into.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Annie?
Yeah, hi everyone. Annie Byerly with the Walla Walla County Conservation District. We also do not currently have a program, but our supervisors are interested in getting started with one. And it just kind of falls on that. What size of equipment do you go for? Do you go for that smaller scale, kind of the vineyards and orchards, or do you do that 10,000 acre dryland wheat approach? So just trying to figure that out.
Great, thanks. Sorry about that. We have some new people joining us, which is great. So awesome.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Chase, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chase. I'm from Snohomish Conservation District and Marine Sort Planner. Everyone. Okay. Hello. I really like focusing in on that. It was like, oh. Hi.
I'm Tony, from the Southern County Conservation District, I'm a resource technician.
Megan Stewart from the Sutton County, the district coordinator, and we just bought equipment, so. Really need to know what other people are doing for us.
Awesome, thanks for joining us. Cool, with that, I want this to be your forum, so I want to have you help me steer the conversation. Just kick off what you want. It's on your mind.
I guess why do you schlep it around everywhere instead of just having a producer come and pick it up?
Say that again?
I know a lot of people are delivering the drill. You know, why not just have them assume that risk, the producer?
Is there anybody that is not hauling it around? How does that work? Well,
So we rent our no-till drills, and we have 2 no-till drills and 2 manure spreaders, and they're housed at the farm store that's in Chehalis. And then we have an agreement with them where they do the calendar, they rent it out, they get 60% of the profit, we get 40% of the profit. And then it kind of works for them because they sell the seed to go with the no-till drill. So it encourages more seed sales and more cover crop sales. But there are also complications when you're having a third party be the one to check in your drills, because if something gets broken or if they don't like check it in meticulously enough, or they're short staffed, sometimes it can be difficult because things can get broken and fly under the radar. But I don't think that we could have done it without that partnership, because we have no place to house it. And I think the staff time would be really difficult, so.
I figured just for a manure spreader program with one of our staff, it was costing me like 30 grand a year
Yeah,
to run the program. We did do a joint venture with a co-op before, and
right.
that lasted about 8 months before they said, here, take it back. We don't want to deal with it. We don't have enough seed or whatever. Somebody else?
We have a manure spreader where I mostly delivered it for a while. And I found that if I did the calendar right, I would drop it off on a Friday. And someone would have it till Monday. I'd pick it up on Monday, drop it off, in the same as the calendar, so I'd be in the same neighborhood, so I wouldn't be driving all across, but sometimes. But then I'd also try and, like, I knew I would be, in a certain part of King County on this day, and then, oh, well, I'll do. You're right, if it worked out, I'd often deliver it and then do a site visit. So it wasn't just me driving just the trailer. Sometimes that's how it happened. But then someone else started taking it over, and they were like, well, we don't want to deliver it. So we just want to have people pick it up. So then they started picking it up at the office. And then we got a whole, a bunch of other tools, a manure spreader, poultry processing unit, well, a drill, poultry processing unit, a lime spreader, and then it was just too much. So now we kind of go, well, come and pick it up. Oh, you don't have a truck? Okay, well, before the pandemic, we're like, well, we'll charge, but I never really liked that charge for delivery. And then during the pandemic, we were like, okay, we'll deliver it, but it will just be free. So if someone can't get the equipment or they don't have a truck, we'll bring it. And the drill is on the trailer, the manure spreader is on a trailer, the lime spreader is also a trailer, and the poultry processing unit has its own, it's all in the little trailer. So pretty easy. Now, it's not a very big drill, it's only 7 feet. something you probably don't want to see me driving on 405 with a bigger drill. Going 35, although traffic probably isn't moving much faster. But that's what we've done over the years.
Yeah, ours is similar. We have all of our equipment at the office except our bigger drill. So all the equipment at the office, each of them have their own little trailer. So landowners pick it up, but unlike Jay, if we have to deliver, we do charge people for delivery. Just to make it, staff time. And then our bigger drill, we have a relationship with our local tractor dealer. So it's over there, they maintain it, and they deliver it. So what we do is the rental is free from us, but then they pay Jennings to haul it, and they pay like a cleaning fee. So, and then Jennings has a big tractor that also people can pay them to do the work if they don't have our bigger one requires a 40 horse. So, and then we got a list of custom farmers too, so it's kind of, we did the calendar, but then all their arrangements through Jennings. And our smaller drill just got a new one with SFF funding. That one is small enough, it's housed at the office, so it's kind of like the rest of our tools. We have a warehouse, a giant warehouse, and the facilities guy who checks on properties for us. Don't ever buy properties. And he's the one that checked out the whole stuff.
I have a question for Annie. I think for you, how do you charge the maintenance if you have your equipment at a farm store? Or who's charged? Who is in charge and who is charged for the maintenance of the equipment if it's housed at a?
Yeah, so Jennings basically, they do it and then they pass all those fees on to the user. So like if they're in downtown Puyallup, so if you're getting delivered to like the far end of the county where I am, it's maybe $350. So a lot of times what they'll do is we'll try to cobble together a couple of renters, like I've rented it. And then I have a client / friend around the corner, so got delivered to my place, and then you can give permission to haul it behind you on the pickup as long as you have another chase vehicle. So we took it to his place and then it got picked up from his property.
So is everybody's tow behind? I have some have 3 point.
Yeah, ours is tow behind just because we don't want people to get hurt or screw anything up.
Yeah, we do just a poultry unit and a manure spreader for right now, which kind of makes it easy. I'm not dealing with the maintenance of the drill yet, but we've been using Smartsheet pretty nicely for scheduling stuff and got it set up for, pretty rigid about Thursday pickup unless they really have some circumstances that are possible. So whoever rented it the previous week drops it off in the morning, and then we have time. And then in the afternoon, that does need to be cleaned or whatever reason, the next person picked it up in the afternoon. And we're at the state patrol building, so we got a big old parking lot, luckily, they let us use, but.
Secure too. So
Yeah, pretty secure, and it'll be nice. I think we're trying to figure out our no-till drill, we want to get one eventually, but that might be housed somewhere else, WSU extension maybe.
What are people charging for their no-till drill rentals?
I think we do,
Say the size and then how much you're like. The
Yeah.
size of the drill and then your charge.
Just
About
so
8 feet,
people here,
7.
the question was, what are people charging for no-till?
it's like 6 feet, it's like $15 an acre. Yeah, it's $15 an acre and then per day on top of that.
You said the size. We have a larger one.
It's 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we walk them since we just did the application for the sustainable farms and fields for our no-till drill. We have a spreadsheet where we went on everybody's website and got everyone's crazy. So actually, some of the ones that we haven't made. Cause, yeah, that's a big, we didn't know how to price it.
Yeah.
And we just search through our, conservation
Yeah.
districts. Or around the state, around the country, what they were charging.
And,
What was that, 165?
165 for a 2-day rental, and they pick it up. We try to be there at the drop off, but a lot of our farmers are pretty self-sufficient. It is often similar, there's probably. Well, we had 5 farmers, and they all are, pretty knowledgeable, so we have it's been relatively low maintenance on our end. And then we have a yeoman's plow that we actually haven't rented out, and a manure spreader, and then we have a ton of hand tools. And we have a lot of small market farmers, so we have like what is it called?
BCS,
Well, we just are getting a
yeah,
BCS.
we have one too.
Do you like that? Is that,
Our small farmers love that little small crop. Farm market.
you just have one?
Yeah, it has all sorts of attachments.
Right, really cool attachments. We were looking at like log splitters and.
Wow,
chipper
we don't have that.
attachments. Yeah, there's some really cool attachments, so we're excited about that, but haven't purchased it, or we purchased it, but haven't picked it up yet.
What was the size of your drill that you're doing for 165?
4.5 each.
Updating your spreadsheet.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's questions in the chat.
BCF.
If you can speak up just a little bit, I'm having a hard time hearing, I'm sure the people online are,
How did you fund a BCF?
We had Sustainable Farms and Fields grant, and that was I think that's where the funds came from. Sustainable Farms and Fields.
what is that?
The grant. Oh, it's a push behind tractor that is like relatively small. You can do a ton of stuff with. I mean, like they were saying, there's all these different attachments. You can't even get one that you can attach a seat to it if it's somebody or an older person. There's all different sizes. It's incredible when you look at it. You're like, holy moly, this is a very useful tool.
You get a credit card for a cover crop.
A cover crop. No, we got a flail mower so far, and we ended up, we have an intern that just took over the purchasing, and I believe it's just flail mower that we purchased so far. I have to look to go on to attach to it.
I have a question about the BCS for like vegetation farm. Is there a big concern about like soil sanitation in between? Because I feel like we don't have as much of a concern with like manure spreader or, yeah, I feel like.
Yeah, we have a big cleaning regimen for ours.
What's your regimen?
I can't remember what's in the spray, but they have to, pressure wash it and then, spray it antibacterial thing. Yeah, because we have a lot of club root in our county.
And you guys do the cleaning up
We make them do it.
okay.
Honor system, basically, we check it out.
Okay. And you guys have a week rental or?
Yeah, it's pretty flexible. We don't do it like charge you by the day thing. It's like, oh, how long do you think you're gonna need it within reason, we don't let them keep it a month, but I think a week or so. Each team member has there's so much equipment that each of our farm planning staff has like a little pocket of, you're in charge of this, so I don't do the BCS, it's on our website.
Do you find that tool? Seems like that tool would be a tool that a tool rental company would like. Back to what Dean said, like that's the one where I would see. If there's a tool rental company, they'd be like, hey, you're competing with us, like.
Yeah, we
And
can
that's
find one.
exactly what I think, because in our county, some rental, we got 3 or 4 rental companies, and we actually go rent a rototiller from them for some of our office work.
Yeah,
You know, if we had one, or like this tractor, small hand tractor, you know, just, we don't have to man for that small scale, but.
Yeah, we checked with all of our local rental companies before we buy anything. We even like encourage them like, hey, because we don't want to have all this equipment, but it's like, hey, how about you get, we have a lot of people that want a BCS. If you guys consider buying one, and they're like, no.
yeah. That's, yeah, that's great.
It's like,
Until they see us, maybe.
Right. Well, sure, buy it from us, you guys handle it. I mean, we don't want to do this, but if it's not out there, you know, no one else in our county rents out manure spreaders, and we don't have any custom farmers that have them, so.
Yeah, we called, before we got our first spreader. You know, we called everyone, said, hey, is this something you want? And everyone's like, no, because it's gonna sit. You know, from October to April and just take up a lot of space, yeah.
I was curious with like your smaller drill and things like that, like where do you use is, because our drill is like an awkward size. So it doesn't get a ton of use, and we were trying to like consider maybe buying a smaller one. But I haven't been able to get any like responses from people on what the need is, so I don't know if like smaller drills are a lot more, like it sounds like yours is used quite a bit, so.
Yeah. You said you're using yours for pollinator hedgerows now, right? Your small drill?
No. So
You're planning to.
planning to, and like moving into a lot of prairie restoration because we're around historical woods.
You're doing what with it?
Prairie restoration. And so we had made a hard push for one in the past, but again, there were opinions on equipment rental being in time suck. I love it with our culture processing because it's a foot in the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why we did it.
Yeah, and so, you know, some of the, you know, our valley folk were asking, okay, what do we do? How do we get one? And it's like, who do we write a letter to? It's like, easiest way is to come to a board meeting. So they came, I think it was our first ever public gas. So people listen when we have a stranger there all of a sudden. And it happened to be a former board member too who came. So I was given the green light like last week by the commissioner of the VSP fund to try to get one in like 21 days, but I don't think. So don't think it's gonna happen on this funding cycle, but yeah, and then, you know, word got out, we were trying to source it, we got one equipment that was like. And it depends on the day how they feel about us in the district. And then so start calls started coming in, and it's like, I heard you're gonna get a 5-footer, I'm not gonna rent it. Like, okay, sorry, really great. So yeah, there's no sweet spot for us, but we were hoping like towable, because then we don't have to have it on a trailer. That, you know, it's a 3-point, we can't unload it, then we have a trailer that's gonna sit for 80% of the year, taking up space. At least, you know, put on a winch or something on it. Tilt trailer or something. Just tell them to go low and slow. So, yeah, I'd like something 6 foot. Is what we wanted with the native grasshopper.
Yeah,
I'd be
they're great.
like an agitator in it. But one Kansas, we go out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, anybody go and buy them.
That's like one of the biggest problems we had with the last round, is just trying to find one in time by the
Right.
the
We
date.
were like, waited a year and a half, because we ordered ours prior to this.
Yeah, it was a big pain, and eventually we cost shared for a landowner. And we got like a John Deere conservation seeder for them. So, yeah, but it's not like the big no-till drill. That was the fastest thing we could find for, you know, work for her purposes, but. Yeah,
Now, who was saying that they're trying to decide their size, or they're worried about having 5 of them? You, Megan, right?
That was me.
So what we decided is, Like I have a dairy farmer that was gonna seed his place and neighbors, so like 700 acres, you know, not all at once, but routinely. So something like that, instead of us having this huge thing that only 1 or 2 people use, that's the perfect opportunity for SFF to, we're just gonna cost share on his. And then he'll almost have a equipment sharing with all of his neighbors. So we figured the small people that aren't gonna use it a lot will buy equipment, you know, that'll work for them, and then they use that, but people like this guy wants like a 24 footer that's gonna cost over 100,000, so I'm like, the cap is 100, you're gonna have to pick up the rest of this. He's like, okay. So it doesn't make sense for us to have a giant one. I think having the 2 little ones, 6 footer and the whatever the new woods is 4 footer, that makes more sense.
I know it's allowed that the sustainable farming fields, we can cost share on equipment for an individual to own. But our managers were like really leery of us cost sharing on things like that for a person, one farmer to own, because we've never given, like, any of our cost share, we're very strict about, well, we can't buy equipment. Because they could go out of business, they could sell it, and so it's kind of interesting that like.
We'll have them come to the board meeting.
Well, if you think about it, it's not any different than like our shellfish, commission shellfish, where you're buying a pump for a dairy or an agitator.
Yeah,
they could.
Or something that, we do that routinely,
Real, yeah,
purchase equipment, which is one that's easiest to kind of get through and do from the no-till standpoint, especially, we're looking at the model of kind of co-opting, like we have not enough farmers to purchase a large one, but we have a sector up in the Snohomish Valley, say, that routinely work together anyway to provide it and let them run it,
Yeah,
you know, but it's still getting the cover crops out there and all the other things that they want to do. So we're looking at that kind of model instead of us purchasing.
Yeah, I will say we had a lot of faith in the producer we cost share with, because they're super active in the farming community and like really tied to other producers, so I think it'll get passed around a little bit.
yeah, so same with this dairy operator.
We cost share a bunch of manure spreaders, and I would rather cost share a manure spreader than won't have one of those.
Yeah,
That just
yeah.
scares me. Having, like, what would you do if BVD just went around your town? And then, you know, if we start fluid equipment trailer, you're afraid of that press, like, I don't know, power stagger and a thick CD. I don't think I'd ever get called back out.
I mean, our spreaders, you know, most, I mean, pretty much everyone's a, you know, small horse operation, and then. Yeah, we, you know, clean it before you return it. I mean, otherwise it's an additional $50 charge, and. You know, 90% of the returns have been clean, 99. Maybe higher, yeah, so.
One of the things that we ran into is, because I forget what it was, Frontier or something, but it was pretty nice little spreader that we had. And which is fine if it's yours, you're gonna be using it on your operation, but when we were hauling it around, it was being used so much during the season, you know, the wear and tear on those things is pretty extensive, and I'm wondering, like, were they built for that continued use all season long?
Yeah.
Because we ended up completely rebuilding ours in a number of years, you know, then a lot sooner than I expected. Just because it was just constantly on the move and on the go and that kind of thing, rather than its intended purpose, right? A person buys it, they're using it during their own growing season, it's not, you know, being used as much, and that was something that I hadn't really considered.
Bobby, what was that? Sorry. What equipment was that?
The manure spreader.
That's actually a conversation that I just had with my coworkers. Like, man, we just put how much money into this thing? I probably should have just bought a new spreader. at this point in time, we've now put so much into the maintenance of it, it just gonna probably keep breaking, sorry, Trevor. And so, yeah, like thinking about how much we bought it for. And yeah, we have the Wallenstein model and it's awful. It is not.
The what model?
We have a Wallenstein.
Oh, well,
And the metal on it is so soft that it pretty much is guaranteed to break every 2 years. Like, it's just, the metal just deforms.
What's the size of it?
It's a 2.5 cubic yard and it's ground driven. It's great. I mean, it's always out getting used, which is probably what it's not designed for. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. Ours hasn't, I mean, there's one flaw.
Did you
about
guys
it.
have the Frontier too?
You know, H&S, which maybe is Frontier, but
It's a great spreader.
like it has one flaw where you can't back up.
Well,
No, that's all.
Yeah, okay. Like, so that's like where people kill it, is they
Yeah.
back up with the engage.
I got a big paint pen and I wrote on it, it says, do not back up, max speed, like, it's definitely looks like graffiti, but it stopped that problem because.
yeah, you gotta do that.
To back up, you gotta turn around and turn around, you're now reading this thing that's just don't do this.
Yeah,
That kind of brings me to the next question of like the no-till drill operation. What are y'all doing to make sure that they're running it well beforehand?
We,
I understand.
for our big drill, we made a video, which you're all welcome to use. So it's a training video that they have to watch, and then they have to pass a little online test, which we can give you.
That's a good idea.
And then, you know, see the answers, or usually twice a year, we'll have an in-person training, so one or the other, you gotta do one or the other in order to use. Yeah, all that stuff's on the website.
That's a great idea.
well, then that just drums business too. If you're like, hey, we got it, that's fine, but hey, we have this thing, come out. See how, see it
Yeah.
used.
We just bought a hose reel as an equipment rental, and I'm having, our youngest dairy farmer gets to house it at his property for free in exchange for the maintenance.
Is it a full size reel?
Yeah,
Wow, nice.
for the Enumclaw Plateau. So those, because that's where the last of our dairy farms are, so. Letting them kind of manage, this is kind of more of a pasture hybrid. Not micro, I'm letting them manage it and kind of organically see how it goes, and if it gets highly demanded, then maybe we'll integrate it into like our website and stuff, but for now.
And then they have their own pump and everything else.
Yeah, I wish I could have, the pumps is a bit of a barrier, I wish I could have a pump too.
You can get a diesel pump.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, but a lot of the farmers are sharing reels and things. It's not a perfect solution, but it's just hopefully one more piece of equipment they can use.
Yeah.
We're letting them borrow it 5 days at a time, so you can't just park at your dairy and sit on it and turn.
What funding source did you use? The
We had this unique opportunity where we had this dairy initiative money through the county that we just had to figure out a way to use, and we just had a little bit of leftover budget. And I just threw that out as an idea, and they let me.
How much was the real?
It was around 90. I
Okay,
think it was like 88,000. Luckily, we bought it in December, because then the next month in January, they went up 10,000. So.
What are funding sources people have used to buy equipment? Like, we use the Rose Foundation, which is a Puget Sound. No, Puget Sound. It's like if you do something wrong, it's a regulatory fund. But for a while, Nooksack was one of the basins that was targeted, and now it's moved down south. It's mostly in like the Puget Sound area, so if you're it's a small not as well-known grant, but it funded our manure spreader purchase and our TA for 3 years.
We got a grant through ecology for our 10-foot drill, and it was, where I started with the district, and then our smaller one we just bought was Sustainable Farms and Fields. And then our one before that, we had it forever, and I think that was one that we had to repossess or something, or they had done something wrong on their cost share contract or violated it, something else, we had to repossess it, so. But that was an old one, we had that one for like over 10 years or like 12 years or something, so I don't know the whole story, but ecology grants were a good way to use it, and so we had a focus basin, and then we had to like try to do a certain amount of acres.
Other grants that people have?
Ours was, Department of Health and kind of pick shellfish fund, waterfall funding.
For our no-kill drill, we have a partnership with Fish and Wildlife. And they got a grant to purchase it, and then they, I think, leased it to us, they leased it to a farm store. And it's through their, like, I don't know, private lands hunting thing, and they can plant, their cooperators can plant stuff to encourage like waterfowl to come onto their property. So you get a discounted rate for if you're one of those participants. And then it's also a discounted rate if you're a VSP participant. And then our newer spreader, we purchased that with VSP funds when we had extra dollars at the end of last plan year. But that was like a, I don't know, 3-month long process. So I would say start that early if they're going to use VSP, at least in our county. If we have to follow our county's procurement policy based on our contract with the county.
How did you get the commission to allow you to use VSP funds? Because I would flat out tell them no.
Just sent them an email and asked them to make it yes.
Yeah. We were told by them.
Was that just recently?
Yeah,
Yeah, this was
last. fiscal-
last
last
time,
item.
I'd say the
It's been the one before. 'cause
The
we have
leader-
to-
I think the leadership was changed and there was some differences and now it's changed again, so it might be a different answer if you try
Yeah.
this next
Our
time.
restrictions. Well, and I think part of it was like when it was the capital, you know, they were playing that game.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I mean, but Sustainable Farms and Fields loves buying all the equipment,
So
like,
we did, and that was, you guys are all talking little stuff, you're not helping me. We went big, so we are working with, not dairies, we're working with, livestock, winter feeding areas, and a lot of them are along streets, and it's in a rocky bottom, because we don't have great soils. And so, like, trying to clean manure, because everybody's like, well, can't spread that, there's rocks in it. So we bought a trommel to sort it, so we literally got that delivered last week and tried it for the first time. So we're talking large equipment, so that one's like $126,000 for the trommel. And then the larger manure spreader, was $40,000. So we went bigger, more commercial size operations, not the small guys. We have a smaller spreader that we did for our small acreage program, and we bought that with the end of fiscal funding a few years ago. But that was busted, so it's that now trying to figure out, I mean, when you're talking about $200,000 worth of equipment, how do you put the rental agreement together that if they damage it? Because when we're starting to talk about a trommel, they do something wrong with it, or, you know, they're literally using a loader to load it and they come down and nail the trommel, we're gonna have damage on it, so. How to set that up to where, like, we're a part of their insurance, they've had to add us to their insurance to be able to use it, or that's what we're exploring right now.
That's
because-
what we did for our drill.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Did Endurance help you write your
Yes.
agreement? Yeah, if you have Endurance, they'll help you. They did a webinar a few months ago and they helped us write our drill.
Yeah.
Rental.
Well, we put it in there and I didn't think it was gonna get funded, and then I hired him and it was like, hey, you started on Thursday, on Monday, I said, hey, figure this out. So, well, then he said, get the equipment, you have until June 30th, to have this on site. Have fun in your introductory period.
I'd be happy to share a copy of the waiver that we have, like our lawyer signed off on that, and for the hose reel, our legalese, like cover, that's helpful, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, cause that was like, the board like, well, they're gonna need to put a deposit down, I'm like, who's gonna write a $20,000 deposit? And
We'll get
that's
to
what
the
kind of
rest.
damage they're gonna do to it, they're gonna do something.
Yeah, next whack down.
I want to do a time check. It's already 8:50. I went super fast. So just in case somebody needs to run to a different class, I want to make sure you have time. But we're gonna continue this. We do have to shut down the virtual before, so we can restart the next class for the ones online. So I want to make sure we've answered all their questions. We can continue on as we go, but then we're gonna have to break and restart.
So I just kind of want to follow up on this, and, you know, this was years ago, like 20 years ago, we were kind of in the same situation, but we had bought the full blown setup pump out there, we had to jump with the diesel motor and all that. And like when we first started, yeah, it was go to the dairy and they were run it. We went very quickly, we just had to hire somebody to run it. And charge enough money per gallon to pay, make it a break even proposition. So, you know, I don't know, conditions are different and stuff like that, but I think my suggestion would be looking at that direction. Like you have somebody manning it, doing it, and the landowners just have to pay, and maybe you can get grants to help make it cheaper. You know, like cost share, we're gonna come cost share. So that's when you scrape in the feeding areas, dry lots, piling it,
Yeah,
and or they're doing it during the winter and then during dry stack.
well, we've got like the actual facility, so it's they scrape the pads and then they have it in their, you know, storage, and then it's the composting it, and then they spread it, but it's like, you need to spread, and they're like, it has rocks. You know, the only place in town that has a spreader, you know, what they were having to put as a deposit or like sign off was basically like, hey, if I put a rock through it and I, you know, screw up yours, not only do I have to pay for all the repairs, but I have to pay your downtime that you're not sending it out to somebody else. So, I mean, it's like a car rental. You get those, you pay for the damages plus their non-revenues, and it was coming from Roto-Rooter, so they used a lot more than just, you know, the little bit, and so it was like, people were like, I can't do that, you know, it's, I'm not getting the value out of putting the product on the ground. You know, of what it's gonna cost, or what my risk is, all right, the reward doesn't outweigh the risk, I'm not doing it, and so. It was like, we looked at trying to get somebody to come in from, you know, more of like the Tri-Cities area that they've got, you know, for spreading, and you know, nobody come here, so it's like, all right, we gotta do our own. I looked at everything before I did it, because I didn't want to do it.
But yeah, that's kind of the trap we fell into, like, we ran it as a business, and all of a sudden the person managed it, started pumping city lagoons, and then all of a sudden another company, normally pump city lagoons, got wind of it, shut us down, and then we went from 40 dairies to 9 dairies, so then it wasn't cost effective. So we privatized it totally, and then that guy just run the system into the ground, and all of a sudden we had a bunch of dairies, that didn't know what they're doing. Fortunately, they had enough prep, they seen it coming, we told them it was coming for 10 years, basically, but it's still that sticker shock, so.
Do people want to write their email address down on this and we can start like a file sharing, or do people have access to Google Drive if we were to upload? Okay, I'll start a Google Drive. And if you don't have access to Google Drive, maybe I can facilitate emailing it out, but why doesn't everyone write your email address legibly?
And another thing too is, if you aren't aware of it or haven't participated, if you're on Gov Delivery, we do have a farm planners forum every quarter. And these are exactly the conversations that, like, we often have, where we're looking to have problem solving questions, networking and stuff. We've had some really great conversations on there. It's only like an hour every quarter, and sign up on the CTD website for that.
Can you start recording those and?
Yeah, I probably could. Yeah,
And then maybe like after the fact, when you upload the recording, say,
thank you.
these are the basic topics, then we can like scroll through and.
Timestamp it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
I'd love
Yeah.
to-
Because we're also always looking for topics, so if somebody has a question or an issue they've run into, a lot of times people bring them in as like, here's what I'm running into, what are some suggestions, or just sending out ideas.
So Karina, are you guys gonna rent out your kiln?
We are hoping to eventually rent out our kiln. We can't right now because we have it as a, demo project, but. By next fall and winter, we will be doing. It works really well. We have a biochar kiln that got with the Sustainable Farms and Fields grant. And right now we've done, Skagit has one as well, Skagit CD, and we've both done the demonstration days this spring, before the burn ban. And yeah, one of our orchard farms is going to be using the biochar mixed with some manure solids to also just see how it friendly soil. So.
I have a quick question. What do you guys use for your rental website? We use MyChart, I guess. Pretty good. We have some issues with it. Somebody that you said you use Smart Sheet.
Yeah, we're gonna smart sheet. We have a smart sheet. That kind of, it's really nice because you can set it up, a few different views, and they have a calendar view as well. And people can upload, their license or whatever else that's required or whatever, and that's been kind of working well, and it's not perfect because it doesn't show me the hour, but at least there's an overlay you can do your own smart sheet calendar if you're using Outlook. So I at least know somebody's renting it that day to look into it further. So that's been pretty easy, and then, yeah, Stripe for payment. Yeah. Stripe. Yeah, and that's the same thing we use for our plant sale. Our manager who runs the plant sales just her husband does a lot of e-commerce. I think kind of recommended that. It's been pretty easy for us.
Yeah, it just seems to show.
Oh, that's, yeah, but Stripe is pretty good for us, and we charge a deposit for some of our equipment, and Stripe makes it really easy to just refund their deposit faster.
We use Google Forms for our poultry processing equipment because that one, it's a pickup drop off, and so I have a Google form that has a lot of bolded, like,